we saw when they added swimming into the games, people were like fish out of water. Like they didn't know what to do. And then they started training swimming, and now they can swim. So it's like, at first, you might not be able to bench press, but you progress, you go slowly, and now you've added a movement in that's made you better as a human, right?
It seems like people used to...
If you're benching body weight, for most females, body weight is very good, relative strength.
Fellas, let me beg the question, just for the chance of the audience to learn. Why is that so that women would have a lower percentage for these benchmarks on the bench press?
They just don't carry as much muscle.
That's very true.
Why are you laughing?
I mean, I'm laughing because there's all this argument
What's funny about
whether, about
what's up with you and women, AJ?
but at a fundamental level, just like hormonally, we're totally different. And men are mostly testosterone, which allows us to add more muscle mass. And in any sport, you don't see at the elite level the equal numbers between genders. So, it's going off of that, and it's the same as scaling.
Well, to be fair, they have to bring the bar not as far down. Some ladies more than others.
God, here we go.
That's true. Elaborate on that point. I'd love to hear it.
I don't know. I would just say this: if you can out squat your bench, if you can out bench your squat, you probably shouldn't bench press. Also, if you can lie on the floor and for a floor press and you touch your chest before you hit the floor, you probably don't need to focus too much on the bench press. There's other things you should be focusing on. And so, as long as the bench press doesn't come a focal point of your training, you're measuring your success on. There's no such thing as too strong, as long as it's relative, right? So it's only too strong as if you squat 600 and you're benching 5. You probably should work more on the lower body strength, and you probably look like one of those physique guys in the shorts, pencil legs.
It sounds like you're challenging a whole lot of frat boys out there. I had a frat guy tell me one time that he didn't feel the need to squat because he did a lot of benching in the gym, whatever the university students were training at. And he said, I do a lot of walking between classes, so I think I got my bases covered.
I don't know.
Our
flight coaches were frat boys, so I'm not really sure that applies. But
not to all of them, but there's a lot of jack benchers and some frats.
Ripping on me for gender.
Do some more dead
stereotypical over here with frat boys.
I'm running numbers in my head over here. So that was just an estimation, but now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's very high for what I said for females. A better, easy number would be maybe like...
Which is how most bodybuilders bench. They squeeze the barbell together to isolate the chest more.
Right.
You squeeze the barbell together. That's why they don't lock it out.
A totally different goal in mind.
It's a whole different goal, and it doesn't serve purpose. I think most people make the mistake that they come in, they don't have their shoulders set, squeezed together down and back, which opens the rib cage, opens the chest. They're flat, so not only do they have an angle here, range of motion is greater, plus now the elbows are more likely to flare out. When you come here, the elbow is going to stay nice and close to the body, and by pulling out, keeps the elbows in. You don't want to be too far in, but you don't want to be too far out, and the angle you're going for on the bench is basically wrist and forearm a vertical with the ground, so straight down, straight up. And basically, your movement is straight, and obviously that straight line is going to be dependent on how good your setup is. Right. The more correct your setup, which you'll see the arch. The arch is really in the upper back, not the lower back. A lot of people will try to get their lower back arched. You're not benching to your belly.
Looking at something that's lighter, maybe 60%, maybe 70% if you're an absolute beginner. If you do know your max, you're doing 8 sets of doubles, something along those lines, and then a little volume after that.
Yeah, I always like the Louis protocol. But if you just look at Prilipen's chart, you could go off of that basically for some maximal work as well to get a second session in.
What is that, by the way? Just roughly. You said it twice, so you got to say it.
James, who the hell is Prilipen?
So it's just it was based off of Olympic weightlifting, and basically it's the optimal. It has, depending on what chart you get, most of them have minimal amount of work that will induce a response.
Minimal amount of reps.
Yeah, reps and sets, and then optimal amount, so the perfect amount that's going to really, and then maximal amount for your extreme. So based on your level, most beginners would be the minimal amount would get results. As you progress, if you're a high level athlete, the optimal is going to work, and then if you're superior, i.e. like you're a Rich Fronin, then the maximal you can get away with, you recover, you do all those things. And so that chart is basically will tell you at this percentage, so at 60%, this is the sets and reps you should.
It gives you a dose for that load.
Yeah.
It keeps you in a safe zone.
And if you look at most programming like 5C1 and programs like that, they base a lot of their rep work and their assistant work off of that chart. So you're able to use that to program pretty much anything.
And if I could just offer a little personal segue to that, I use Prilipen's chart as no matter what crazy idea I would try when I was powerlifting, I told myself, let me stay within these boundaries just to see what would happen. And every time I stayed within there, I never had a problem with overreaching, trying to do too much. If I said, today's a light day, I know 67% a light day.
All right, so there's 10 sets of 10 with some single arm half kneeling dumbbell presses, working a cross core connection there. Started with 40 pounds. Yeah, 40.
It's just because of time under tension
No.
for a maximal effort in
10,
competition.
20,
So the only reason
30. Yeah, 40 pounds.
12 sets of doubles for
40
for
pounds.
swing and then,
For 7 sets. Then I dropped it down to 30 because it was just getting too much and it's supposed to be a deload. So don't go too crazy on deloads. The weight was starting to move like shit, so I moved it and I dropped it a little bit and continued. Got a pump, man. All you're doing is chasing the pump on this week.
What might make a good spotter? Because I feel like a lot of people don't bench because they don't trust or they no one's there to spot them. And I've seen a ton of bad bench spotting that just makes me cringe.
So for me, I was one of the better spotters at Westside because I didn't mind spotting. But for me, what makes a good spotter is it allows you to stay in the right position. So the spotter for the liftoff needs to understand that they're doing the majority of the work. And so whether you need to stand on a plate or something to be able to get the leverage to kind of lift the weight up, you want to lift the weight up, lift it out to the right position, and then release so that they can pretty much go right into the bench press. Now, depending on the federation, you might have to hold it or whatnot, but you don't want to be, as a lifter, you don't want to have to lift it yourself. You don't want to have to pull the weights out.
You don't want to tuck your shoulder blades. You want somebody dropping it on you, pulling up with all the effort, then just letting go.
Yeah, because that's what most people do. They'll set up, and then as they go to pull it out, because of where the rack is, they push, and now they're pulling out, and then they're in that bad position. So a good spotter will allow you to stay in that position, and if you get loose, a good spotter will keep knuckle max as you framed it, because the minute technique breaks down, now we're in an unknown on how much more you can lift, plus injury risk goes through the roof. I think
that's how people tear their pec.
Yeah, I think that's the thing people make. You hear max effort, and they think, until I fail. It's not until you fail.
You should actually fail almost never in gym. I don't believe you fucking fail in the gym.
Yeah, you should know.
I believe in failure.
I believe in failure. First place or last place. And to the point, a good spotter will be someone who just listens to the show.
And also who has a smaller package, so it's not just like dangling
Not just
in your
hanging around your
face.
face.
You gotta make sure you got the shorts like hiked all the way up.
Dude,
the t-shirt.
Let me just say this real quick because you just remind me. I was bench pressing 225 rep tests at the University of Memphis. I was playing football my freshman year during freshman camp. It was a whole intense. I was sucking myself up, taking this very seriously. And the assistant strength coach had a big dip in his mouth. Come on, Morris, go. Let's go. He's spotting me. I'm getting ready. He's like, 3,